Part 35 is sharing my story on here because it's so much easier than writing another book. So after hearing from hundreds of survivors, like, I'm really starting to have a good grasp on what's going on in the world and how to help. And I start then using my voice because, well, it only makes sense. The first couple years, I was really just collecting data, trying to figure out how the hell we help. And then I was like, okay, we've got some problems here, and there's systemic problems. And there was this weird pattern that every time I would go and speak at a church, like the next week, the pastor would have some kind of confessional where he is like confessing to the congregation that he's done some crooked shit, and like it's following me everywhere I go. And High School Musical just popped into my head. I light fires to feel joy, because that's what it felt like. Everywhere I went, I was leaving a trail of fire, because people are like feeling convicted in their hearts and needing to expose the icky shit that they've done. And we can't find a home church because no one can really hang with the intensity, because when you're in the spiritual bypassing Christian world, and they're all the power posturing, like that's the very nature of Christianity. And I'm dealing with all the hard shit. Like, I'm talking really intensely about racism and SA and like family patterns and like breaking silence, because silence truly is violence. Like, it does not change anything. We have to aggressively stand and say no more. And just being able to see and listen to and truly understand other people's experiences. Now, I can't know what it's like to live life as a person of color or as someone who is privileged in the way of finances or family. Like, I don't truly understand. But when you sit and you listen and you cry and you have empathy and you care, it changes who you are. Like, you cannot just continuously hear how people have been discriminated against and experienced such raw injustice and violence at the hands of their family and be okay. Like, it burns this fire inside of you that you have to do something different. And so my voice started to change, where for a long time I was just sharing my story, and like really the call to action was like, do better, keep learning, educate yourself, ask more questions. And that's a very good call to action. But my call to action started to shift into something much more powerful. And it was like, you need to look at your own life and do your own healing before you come close to talking to survivors, because the amount of harm that well-intentioned people put onto other people just because they don't understand the complexity of trauma or what it's like to live in the hood or what it's like to be discriminated against, like those things are very complex, and then they'll just accidentally say something that is so incredibly fucked up, and the only, like, you can't recover from that because you're already talking about someone with trust issues, and now you're just giving them more trust issues. Like, you gotta do better. You can't just go out there and like play Captain Save-A-Ho. It just doesn't fucking work, because when you've been out there, when you've done it, you understand how well you have to trust your intuition and trust yourself, because people aren't safe. And so, like, people are irritating. Like, do research, get educated, like, listen to the people who have experienced the thing, and lots of them, before you jump in and start telling people that you know something. Like, it took me years of doing research and talking to people before I even had the slightest clue as to what the problems really were, because I didn't understand in the beginning how the complexities of racism. I had to learn that shit, and I had to sit in the room and be the one that was quiet and corrected and wrong and understand my own privilege and why I can function the way I do, and then how to leverage that fucking shit, because there's so much fucked up in the world. My God, I'm pissed today. My check engine light came on this morning, and I think it's better now, but I'm just feeling irritated. As my voice starts changing and I start speaking up about the things that really matter and the things that really make a difference, our funding starts to go dry. Imagine that. Like, we start losing funding because people aren't excited. They're not as excited about helping a, 45-year-old woman who's had 10 kids, all of them who have been trafficked, and she's never known anything different because she started being trafficked when she was 5. And like, the funding for that isn't nearly as exciting as helping some 13-year-old little girl who was kidnapped. And yet the little girl who's kidnapped is like a 1% type situation, where being born into a family is actually like really freaking common, because really there's only 4 types of traffickers. Also, I got to the point in my work where I could just ask someone, hey, tell me about your dude, or tell me about whoever was trafficking you. And the moment I heard who it was, I knew the pattern of trauma. I knew like their experiences. Of course, there's different stories, but the patterns are so simple once you get enough data. But I don't think most of these studies get enough data. One, because they're jaded, because they're asking really specific questions to get really specific answers. But then the data, you're just not even getting the real information because of trust issues. Like, how could someone like me sit in front of someone who's like so square and doing some scientific research on people like me? You're not going to get the real answers that you would get if I were sitting down and talking with a peer. Does that make sense? Of course it makes sense. It's fucking common sense. So I'm going toe to toe with people now in these board meetings, and I'm like, this is stupid. And I'm making quite a name for myself because I'm causing a lot of waves because I just don't even freaking care. God, there was one time I did this huge panel and the great big event, and the freaking founder of Shared Hope International, I don't remember her name and I don't want to, but it's a woman who founded it forever ago. She came up to me after speaking, and I'm pretty tall. Like, I'm 5'7", 5'8", and when I put on heels, I'm especially tall. She's looking up at me and she goes, your abuse must not have been that bad for you to be the way you are right now. And I was so shocked. I'm like, this is the founder of a multi-million-dollar nonprofit, and she's saying this to a survivor that just got off stage. What the actual fuck? I didn't know what to say, and I didn't say anything. I just huffed at her and walked away. But this is the quality of care, because there is no regulations for nonprofits within the United States. Churches are the same way. You can just get your little code and you can do whatever the fuck you want with whoever you want. Do you know how many nonprofits I have like heard of, almost worked with, and like they were ran by traffickers? They were ran by traffickers. Like, that's a trafficker can start a nonprofit. You know what? That's a great way to get more people. There's no fucking regulations. I have done over 150 placements into programs all over the United States, and not a single fucking person graduated. Not a single one. And I kept in touch. It wasn't because of like them doing shit. They wanted help because I didn't do placements until they were fucking ready. But when they went, they were met with all kinds of bullshit. I have had people locked in fucking closets. I have had people SA'd in programs. I have had people trafficked out of programs. I cannot tell you how fucked up these programs are. And you know what? Let's make it real simple. What happens when you put a whole bunch of people that are conditioned to exploit everyone around them in the group with other people who do the same thing? Guess what? They all exploit each other because that's what we were trained to do. What we need is to be able to integrate into the world. We need support. We need resources. So it's pretty easy to say that they didn't like me and it didn't go over real well. I just snorted.